So we finally got our taste of the elusive Big Run in Splatoon 3, and while the event was certainly a nice mixture of fun and challenge and creativity, it has kinda left a lot to be desired. Hey, I'm CJ, and today I want to cover Big Run's top 3 main problems and how I'd personally fix each one. So right off the bat, Big Run's absolute biggest problem is the reward incentives, and I feel like this is where Big Run really dropped the ball the most. So yes, we had the doubling of the rewards meter, the catalog bonus of 1.2x, in addition to that, players got trophies based on their highest scores, and you also got a cool badge to go with it. Sounds great on paper, but in execution, it's dry. I'm sorry, it's dry. It just wasn't big enough to justify how big Big Run was supposed to be, or at least how it's been presented up to this point. So how would I fix this? Personally, I think the drop rate of silver and gold scales needs to be at least doubled. This whole time I was under the impression of the reason why the scale distribution in Salmon Run was so abysmal. I don't know, I was expecting during Big Run it was going to be increased to justify why it's so bad outside of Big Run, but that didn't happen. Absolutely nothing changed about the gold and silver scale drop rate, and I don't understand why. This was the perfect event. I also feel that the catalog bonus needs to be increased from somewhere between 1.3 to 1.5, because let's be real, yes, it's the same catalog bonus from Splatfest, but Salmon Run matches take significantly longer to complete than your average Splatfest battle, so giving it the same catalog bonus is heavily skewed. Also, if Big Run is supposedly going to replace Splatfest every other month, I feel like Big Run needs to distribute some amount of Super Sea Snails. This is gonna create an unnecessary shortage of Super Sea Snails. I don't know, Big Run needs something more to justify not having a Splatfest. Now, trophies are cool, but I'm gonna be honest, I am not putting this giant thing in my locker. Alright, so moving on to the second issue that I experienced with Big Run. There needs to be more Salmon Run wave types. I don't understand why modes like Tornado, Quahog Cannons, Goldie Seeking, or Mudmouth were cut. We only got Mothership, Grillers, Fog, and Glowflies. Lore-wise, it doesn't make any sense because if the Salmonids are invading, they're taking over Wahoo World and all these other future stages, but like they don't bring their entire army, you know, it seems a little silly. I feel like Nintendo needs to go all the way. If you're going to have this giant event, you need to not cut content from the base material. In addition to not cutting any current Salmon Run modes, I feel like Big Run needed to maybe introduce a new mode? I hate to say it, but like, because apart from just being on a multiplayer map, in this instance it was Wahoo World, there was literally nothing different with Salmon Run. I'm not quite sure how they can go about this. I just feel like Big Run needs to feel bigger. I don't know how else to say it. Personally, I'm still a pretty big advocate for an endless wave mode, something that just seems really perfect for Big Run. I don't know, introduce a new King Salmonid, introduce a special type of Salmonid that's maybe exclusive to Big Run. Now, the third point I want to make is I understand this is the most personal point, but I feel as if the immersion factor just wasn't enough. I don't know, it just felt like the citizens of Splatsville just didn't care too much about the Salmonids attacking. Like, they kind of treated it as if it were just a minor inconvenience, which is kind of weird. Now, like the sky being pink and the atmosphere of the square being eerily quiet and somber, and couple that with the emergency ads displaying all over the regular ads, and heck, even if you go like to the sewers, you could hear the Salmonids creeping around in there. All these changes are great, but I still felt like there was just this weird disconnect between what was going on in game and then like what the player themselves experienced. To me, it just kind of felt a little jarring to go from this like creepy, ominous plaza, and the next minute you just turn around and go in the store and it's just like, I don't know, it just kind of takes you out of the moment, I guess? But like, so like, for example, during Splatfest, all the characters in the square have unique little animations that correlate with, you know, Splatfest, a big celebration, you know, time to get your boogie on, let's dance, let's go. And for Big Run, there was no change. And yeah, I know this section was the most nitpicky of them all, but I still feel like the points I brought up were reasonable criticisms. So overall, as a whole, I think Big Run was a success. I think that it's really cool that Nintendo Nintendo is willing to give us these new concepts. And much like Tricolor Turf War, I think it's gonna take 2 or 3 big runs for Nintendo to figure out what they want to do with this mode. Because with Tricolor, it's been a giant trial and error phase, you know? And eventually, I hope that big run is going to be a nice counterpart to Splatfest. Again, it's under the notion that it's gonna be Splatfest one month, big run the next. And I hope that they're both equal and good in their own right, and one doesn't feel inferior to the other. So what are your thoughts on Big Run, and what are some changes that you're hoping to see? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later.